catch. Fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone has had a great start to the week. We got a lot to get into tonight. Week 7 is here, ladies and gentlemen. We got trades, big name trades. We got more injuries. We got excitement. Got another week down, almost halfway through the fantasy season. Got a lot to get into, so you know what we need to do. Fantasy Q&A, anything that you guys need, start sits, trades, waiver wire help, streams for the week, whatever it may be. Get in the live chat tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football. And like I said, a lot to react to and get into for the night. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Devante Adams traded to there. What are the fantasy impacts? Well, I think that Devante Adams will become a solid wide receiver 2 play. Might be a little bit riskier this week. It's not a great matchup. First week with the offense, but definitely still startable. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Garrett Wilson will be okay. Anyone freaking out about Garrett Wilson, don't freak out about Garrett Wilson. This is a good thing for Garrett Wilson. The volume will go down a little bit, but I think if anything, this hurts Allen Lazard, who is the wide receiver 11 right now in PPR. And it will impact Garrett Wilson, but I don't think in a negative way. I truly don't. I think Garrett Wilson will still be a very solid week in, week out option in full PPR. And just think of it this way. Devonta Smith doesn't suck. T. Higgins doesn't suck. Jalen Waddle, when Tua's healthy, doesn't suck. I mean, you can think of a lot of situations like this. For the most part, last year, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, maybe not so much this year, but plenty of offenses can support a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2. And like I just said, Allen Lazard's a wide receiver 12. Like Rodgers has already been supporting 2 wide receivers on the season. So two top 12 fantasy football wide receivers right now for the Jets and Wilson and Lazard. So everything's going to be okay here. I promise, if you're a Garrett Wilson owner. All right. Another big trade. So both teams who played last night involved in trades today. They probably could have both used who they traded for last night. But Amari Cooper going from the Browns to the Bills. I think this is great for Amari Cooper. I'm a little torn on what I think about the rest of the Bills wide receivers here. I think that it was really interesting last night. We saw a lot more involvement out of Curtis Samuel and Mac Hollins. And less involvement out of Coleman and Shakir, but they kind of had a tough matchup, So I think there's going to be somebody startable outside of Cooper here, but for the most part, this is a big upgrade for Cooper. And I think if you're an Amari Cooper owner and you have not traded him yet, you're probably feeling pretty good right now. So
this is exactly what the Bills needed. They needed a number 1 wide receiver desperately. They needed a guy that can get open and make plays. I think it helps, maybe Khalil Shakir gets a little less coverage. Keon Coleman, people forget about him. Should really help out the tight ends though. Like the box, people are going to have to back off a bit because Amari Cooper is still a very good deep threat guy. So that should help our tight end plays.
For sure. And I think to that point, both of these trades help Breece Hall and James Cook as well. I mean, both of these offenses are going to open up even more. So these are 2 very good trades. Obviously the Bills right now atop of that division, correct?
Yeah.
And the Jets, I mean, this window is like as tight as possible. And the play caller was better last night. They looked a little bit more inspired. Obviously, without, the Rodgers Hail Mary, maybe this game isn't as close, but you can't just take that play away. I mean, they made the play, and so there's definitely still a path that this team can make the playoffs. It's as easy as ever to get into the race there. I don't know how far they're going to go, especially because the defense is just they're not that defense that we thought they were going to be.
They can't
DJ,
stop the run. They can't stop the
yeah,
run. And they fired
I mean
Robert
Ray Davis.
they fired Robert First of all, we love Ray Davis over here, but they
Yeah,
fired Robert Saleh, who's like the defense. Oh, who would have guessed? Like the defense is slightly worse now after you fire
yeah.
the defensive guy. I know he's not doing all the plays and stuff, but still overseeing the defense. I don't know. Just we're big Jets right now.
And DJ Reed got a little banged up last night, which is not good. But to that point, the Bills can't stop the run either. And both of those secondaries are still playing pretty good for the most part, although they both bent a little last night. So we'll see. It's a long season, but this is also huge for Josh Allen. I mean, he can feed a number one wide receiver. So this definitely helps the Bills offense as a whole. And I think this will help the Jets offense. And, outside of real NFL impact here, these are both good trades for fantasy purposes, right? Now the Browns go down even further here. Jerry Jeudy, I do think this benefits Jeudy because as bad as the volume is and as bad as the targets are, this benefits Jeudy theoretically, unless they just decide to trade him too and trade Nick Chubb and trade David Njoku. Who knows what's going to happen there? But I still don't really, I don't have a lot of excitement for that offense. Want to separate it from it as much as possible. And in terms of the Raiders, like Jacoby Myers is definitely worth rostering, and soft matchups will definitely be a player that we can play, and is capable of having that wide receiver one volume, but still, once again, bad quarterback play, bad offense. His ceiling is definitely limited here, but we've already been looking at this offense with no Adams for at least 2 weeks, and last week Myers was out, so it's Brock Bowers first, and but Myers, this is good. Trey Tucker, has had some moments, but super volatile. So it definitely makes sense that both these teams traded their number one wide receivers. But okay, we'll continue to dissect both trades and how they impact your guys' rosters as the stream goes on. But make sure you guys get in the live chat. Any fantasy questions that you guys have, roster reviews, waiver wire, trades, all that good stuff. Let's get it popping, ladies and gentlemen. And in terms of other news, really the only thing that we have, we probably have 2 things to mention. Cooper Kupp might play this week. Had a positive workout yesterday. And I think there's definitely a possibility that he plays this weekend. So Cooper Kupp owners have been holding out. Good news. If it's not this week, I think it's probably next week.
They play Thursday next week. So
and that's right.
It's the Vikings on Thursday.
I think if they want to try and get him a little bit loose, it's probably this week against the Raiders. Vikings secondary weaker than the front 7, but
could they do like plays against the Raiders this week and then they sit him Thursday and then give him 10 days to rebound and then play him again? Could they do something like that maybe? I don't know.
I think it might be closer to like he's on a snap count this week, maybe even a snap count next week,
Thursday,
Yeah. But either way, I think if Kupp is healthy, like at this point in the season, you're probably rolling with Kupp because we've had so much to spare. And we'll see what happens. Outside of that, one last thing. The Steelers have been giving Russell Wilson first-team reps in practice this week, putting him in line to start Sunday against the Jets. So I've personally been anticipating this actually happening, believe it or not. But I'm also at the same time a little bit shocked. Now the passing game has been really bad. It was bad last week.
At halftime, going into halftime, it was like, oh yeah, Russell, like this is the spot. Russell Wilson's coming back next week. But then Justin Fields turned it on again in the second half.
Yeah. I think if there's any coach out there right now who's going to put intense pressure, does not care really what the players think, but just wants the wins, is probably Mike Tomlin. There's probably a couple other coaches in the league, but it makes sense. But also I feel like it's kind of weird because they have been winning games, but also at what like what teams are they really beating right now, and how competitive are they actually? And they don't have a passing game right now with Fields, so I think this could impact the locker room, especially if Russ comes out and is playing poor. Um, but we'll just have to kind of sit back and see how it plays out. Now, if you've been super frustrated with George Pickens, I don't blame you. He does have a very soft schedule coming up, and Russell Wilson, I do think, can positively impact George Pickens. So, if you're a Pickens owner, maybe this gives you some faith. All right, let's talk some fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen. Diego, what's going on? Emil, good to see everybody. How we doing? Smoking a cat. Dropping Keon, stashing Chandler, Benson, or Wright. So here's the thing with Chandler. It's a bad matchup this week, and I think this is going to be a game where we're seeing more throwing of the football. And we also don't know the extent of the Aaron Jones injury.
I would say 70-30 Aaron Jones plays this week.
Yeah. I was going to ask your opinion because I figured if anyone.
70-30. Aaron Jones practiced yesterday. He was like out there working out, stretching and stuff. But
nice.
Again, it's a horrible. This is going to be There's going to be an air raid game. Like
it's the weeks after that entice me. Rams, Colts, Jags, Titans. What a stretch you guys are about to have.
Well, we were supposed to be terrible with this hard front end schedule. Now we're hitting the cupcake part, man. We win this weekend, we might be like 12-0.
Then the Bears and the Cardinals. I mean, those are all very good matchups for running backs. So if Jones re-aggravates this injury, or if he's out longer than expected, which, like you said, the report right now, he was practicing yesterday. So either way, like Chandler is enticing for basically just because of the schedule, Jalen Wright, I'd probably go, like, really, this is a coin toss. I don't really have any interest in Trey Benson. I know he got some touches this past week. Obviously, if Connor goes down, I mean, this is really the game we're playing. Like, is Jones going to stay hurt? Is Connor going to go down? Is A-Chain going to miss time due to the concussion? And even if A-Chain misses time, we've already seen that it's a toss-up between Wright and Mostert in terms of touches. So I'd probably go Chandler, Wright, Benson, but I mean, your guess is as good as mine. David says you're going to be proud of me. I'm always proud of you guys. Emil, if I can get Kyron or Mixon for Evans, would you do it? I mean, it really depends on the roster. It's a fair trade either way here, but do you need the wide receiver more, or do you need the running back help more is truly the question here. It's a fair trade either way. Mixon dominates that backfield. I know Pierce got touches and looked good, but they were blowing out the Pats. Kyron also just dominates that backfield. So now Mike Evans going to be fine. I told you guys Sunday morning, bench Mike Evans. Broke down all the stats, and I still got comments on that video like, you're an idiot. Anyways, Mike Evans will be fine, and this offense is just, I mean, they are stacking up points. So it really depends on the roster, but it's an okay trade. Gob, what's going on? Diego made some trades. Rate the team. We got Hurts, Kyron Hall, Brown, Reed, McBride, Deontay Dobbins. This is a great team. And this is about as close to a 10 out of 10 as you're going to get. Very solid. You know what feels good is when you have a running back in the flex spot and they're just super solid, because I ideally want to flex wide receivers, but like I'm in a league where I'm flexing Monty every week, and it's just a good feeling, So I like that. All right, traded Walker and Brown for Barkley. Still have JT coming back, and Dobbins and Bigsby and Javonte. So I'm going to have Saquon and JT. Yeah, this is fine. I still think Barkley coming off the bad game. Like, I think Barkley's still top 5 right now, but I know Walker coming off of a lower ceiling game. I still really like Walker. And Chase Brown looks like he is slowly taking over that backfield. I know Moss is banged up, but this is close. I do prefer Barkley, but I also wouldn't mind if he just held Walker and Chase Brown and took the depth here, especially with JT banged up. But yeah, I mean, Barkley, JT, Dobbins, Bigsby, that's fine. Dabe, what's up? Would you flex Pop over Mason or A-Chain? I really like Pop Douglas this week. The Jaguars are just so bad, guys. I mean, till further notice, like we're just starting primary starters against the Jags. I know last week, like
it's a terrible. I mean, the Patriots are awful.
And I don't even care. Like the Pats are gonna ball out this week. I'm
yeah,
telling you, dude.
Drake May, baby. It's Drake May season.
Yeah. Drake May looked okay.
He looked good. Yeah, he looked good. Yeah, I don't think, but so, they're really bad. They're bad. The Patriots. It's kind of hard to watch.
I think this is the meeting of two bad.
This is gonna be fun. Wake up for that one, guys. It's so bad, it's good.
I mean, we're gonna get some points in that game. Both these defenses just
BTJ resurgence. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, we had over 50 points allowed by both these teams combined last week. So far over that. What the Pats gave up 41, and what did the Jags give? I don't remember the final score of that game, but I really like Pop this week. I think he's gonna he's just super safe. So I will say I'm a little bit worried about Jordan Mason this week. I don't think he's like a must start. You know, he might not play. If he does play, it's really a pain management type injury. But this is a bad matchup against the Chiefs. It is at home. You know, one wrong hit, he's out for the game, or he might play the whole game. But either way, it's a top 10 run unit. And then A-Chain, you know, a little banged up, gets a good matchup this week. But like, how fluent is this offense? So, you know, call me crazy, but I'm leaning Pop here. Ghost Hunter, what's up? Shout out to John for the last minute waiver vid. Of course, picking up Ray Davis once Cook went out instead of playing. Braylon Allen won me a very close matchup. Let's go. I will say the last minute waiver video the past couple of weeks it's been pretty on point. By the way, I forgot to tell you guys, I've been very sick this week, so if you guys could hear it in my voice, I apologize. But I'm here, so I'm feeling much better, but I'm still under the weather. That back to school thing they talk about with toddlers, oh my God, dude. We were both sick like 2 weeks ago. My daughter was sick all last week, and I got whatever she had, and it has not been good, but I digress. Josiah, good evening. What would you do this week waiver-wise, knowing your opponent needs a kicker to fill in for their bye week? I mean, what are you going to do? Pick up 4 kickers? You know, like, it's not the playoffs. I just, you know, unless you have, like, a really deep, like, you're in a league where you have 6 bench spots and, you know, there's no one out there on waivers, and you got Dare Agunbowale and Jalen Polk and, you know, players that feel pointless to you. Sure, pick up an extra kicker or 2, but for the most part, I'm just going to try and stack the best skill position players. And honestly, Jalen Polk is probably still worth holding on to right now. Yeah, just, you know, what are you going to do here? Maybe there's like a really, really good kicker out there, like Chris Boswell's floating around. The Commanders kickers out there, like someone who goes a little bit under the radar. Sure. But it's so volatile at the position that I just don't think it's worth it at this point in the season. God, do I drop all these players? Fields, Ford, Wilson. Well, I think Ford is droppable, unfortunately. Chubb's gonna be back this week. Let's go. Chubb. Emmanuel Wilson is just a handcuff. Like I've been saying that from the beginning. You know, he doesn't have standalone value. You know, we've seen it in one game, but he's, you know, Braylon Allen, Emmanuel Wilson. Like, we're not starting these guys. These are handcuffs. You know. Now Fields.
Maybe, probably. I don't know.
It really depends on your quarterback situation. Like, you know, if you're going like Anthony Richardson and Fields,
That's what
or
I've been rocking that on
really,
one league. Yeah, it's been 5. It's worked.
like it's a little dependent here, like Kirk Cousins, Fields. Like if Russell comes out and sucks, then they're probably going to go back to Fields, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Russell was not that bad last year. Sean Payton just hated him. Like the Broncos almost made, like they probably could have made the playoffs last year. And Sean Payton was like, "Nah, I'm good. I want to draft Bo Nix."
Yeah,
Um,
offensive genius. You just
yeah.
keep telling me, Denver. Just
Which
trash.
Bo Nix starting to look okay.
They
Okay.
were down 23-0. It was just cool. You can score garbage points.
You know what I love me a crappy rookie quarterback on a crappy team or a crappy backup quarterback. I'm all about it. So, I mean, fantasy wise, right now, I'd rather have Bo Nix or Drake May than like Aiden O'Connell or Tyler Huntley. So there's some upside there. But yeah, Fields maybe. It depends on the sitch. Ford, I mean, let's just distance ourselves from this offense. He's banged up. Chubb's coming back. Donta Foreman's in the mix. Wilson's fine to keep, but he's a handcuff. All right, super flex for David. We got Daniels, Kyler, JT, Saquon, Dobbins, Javonte Neighbors, Hill, MH, JMO, Ingram, Andrews. I'm 1-5. You have like the most points scored on you or something? I mean, I could see, Kyler's been volatile. JT's hurt.
Yeah, Malik's out. You play
Dobbins, yeah,
Tyreek. MHJ's been kind of all over the
yeah,
place.
it makes sense. Yeah, this team is certainly. I mean, I've seen teams start 0-6 and make the playoffs. So, a comeback. It's never too late for a comeback. I've been like 2-8 and 1 out. It depends on your league and like what the standings are, but just continue to set the best lineup every week, like I always say, and that's all you can do. That's the name of the game. All right, Myra with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Hey, start sit. Really unique situation. Bijan, Kamara, Henry, Hall, London, start 3. Jeez. I mean, you can't really go wrong here. When you're looking at players of this caliber, it's super close. So, I mean, these are all must-start players.
Yeah.
You're not sitting Henry. I'll say that much. He's the RB1. I'm probably not sitting Kamara. He's the RB2. It's a short week against the Broncos, but Rattler's at quarterback. But
I don't know. I feel weird about Kamara. The Saints' offenses, they were very fortuitous with Baker giving them field position. They didn't really move the football a whole lot.
That's fair. I was just thinking, as I said, maybe in this circumstance, Kamara is the odd man out. It's a good matchup for Bijan. It's not a great matchup for Hall. I really like London this week. I don't know if London is like benchable. I would just go to matchup. I go Bijan, Henry, London. But don't be surprised if any of these players outscore each other, Very close calls. But thank you for the super chat, Myra. Josiah, would you get Siebert or Boswell, even though I got Money Mac? Or wait and see what happens with James Cook's status? Wait, what is...
Yeah, what does James Cook have to do with any of this? Because his opponent needs a kicker. He wants to poach the kicker, but he could also pick up like Ray Davis, maybe.
Yeah, that confuses me.
I'm thinking I think it's that.
Yeah, it really depends on your bench and who you're dropping to pick up an additional kicker.
I love Siebert. I've been on Siebert for
Yeah.
the last 3 weeks. Money McPherson is on my must start every week, though. He is a must start every week guy. So
Yeah, and that's the thing here is all these kickers are great. So it's going to be like super close on a weekly basis between these guys who would start, It depends on who you have to drop. Don't go out of your way to roster like 3 kickers. All right, who would you want to trade in return for Ferguson? Dell, Allen, Shakir. Probably not Allen and probably not Shakir. He's theoretically going to lose volume. For me, it's Dell, but also what is Dell going to look like when Nico's back? I mean, who are you going to have at tight end? Trade my Hawkinson for a Dunze? What are you left with at tight end if you're going to trade Fergie and Hawk? I know Ferguson's coming off a bad week, but he'll be fine. What are you left with here is my question. But, I mean, if you need points now, it's Dell. So, what's wide receiver rank in Cleveland? Judy. That's it. I'm not interested in Elijah Moore. Not interested in Cedric Tillman. And, Deshaun Watson's still throwing the football. So, Joey, start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. Terry, Wilson, Reed, Gibbs, Connor, and Chuba. Yeah, these are all good options. So Gibbs and Chuba, bad matchup for Connor. Cardinals a little rough. MH might be out. And then start the 3 wide receivers, Terry, Wilson, Reed. I'll bench Connor. Now, Connor, I mean, can always do something, but I like the other options more. Michael, need a running back looking to make a trade. Have ETN, Moss, Madison, Roshan Benson, St. Brown, Debo Downs, Ladwick. Which should I plan to drop? Also have McBride and Dak and Darnold. I mean, what do you need running back help? So, yeah, you do need running back help. I mean, you probably is that Wicks? You can drop Wicks. Yeah.
Packers wide receivers.
He's back to RB4 or wide receiver 4. And he's hurt, I'm not dropping Downs. I'm not dropping Debo or St. Brown. And I mean, Ladd is probably somebody still on a roster. You can trade one of the quarterbacks, but I just don't know what you're going to get. You're probably playing waivers for running backs. Like, what running back value are you getting out of, in terms of a trade, out of ETN, Moss, Madison, Roshan, or Benson? Probably nothing. So you probably got to play the waivers, unfortunately. All right, VJ Money at the bottom of the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Got offered JT and Baker for Lamar and Jacobs. No, keep Lamar. Keep Lamar.
Too good.
I mean,
Too good.
It's close, I guess. Baker's what, the QB3? Or no, he's a QB2, actually. Jaden's a QB3. So, I mean, it's close, but JT's banged up. I probably like a healthy JT over Jacobs. But at least Jacobs every week's giving you that floor. Like, you're going to get 10 points at worst. I just want Lamar. I mean, it's close. But for me, I'm going to keep Lamar and Jacobs. Yeah. So here's the thing with... So Tommy says putting a claim for Douglas over C-Watt. Did Cam Akers just get traded to the Vikings?
Did he?
Is that a real thing?
I don't know. Is it? Get traded back? We do need a running back. Yes, we do. Yes, we did. Cam Akers, conditional 7th for a conditional 6th.
Breaking news.
Welcome back, Cam Akers. That tells you how little they believe in Ty Chandler.
Yeah, I was about to say, cancel those claims for Chandler because Now you're probably going to see both of them get touches if Jones is out.
They say this is not a reflection on Aaron Jones' health.
So that means they probably don't believe in
They
Cam
don't.
Akers.
They watch Cam Akers against the Jets like I did. He just runs in. This is the problem they had last year with Madison and kind of him. He just runs right into the hole. He doesn't. They need a guy who can kind of dance and find the correct lane and slide on through. And Cam Akers was that guy until he tore his Achilles last year. Cam Akers was starting for us.
Yeah, it's a good depth piece. But yeah, that is
breaking.
Interesting. Breaking news.
Breaking.
You heard it here first. Thanks, Dom, at the bottom of the chat there. We can circle back to that, and if you guys have questions based on it, let us know. But yeah, so Tommy putting a claim for Douglas over Seawatt. So I'm okay with this for sure. I do want to be careful. I talked about this at the wide receiver video. Like, we've been down this path with Watson and Dobbs. Like, they still have a lot of volatility. I think they had 8 targets last week combined. 3 of those turned into touchdowns. The Packers are going to throw the football a ton. That's what they want to do. But just keep in mind that there's a lot of volatility with Watson and Dobbs as well. So they're worth rostering, but you got to understand who you're playing. Got offered ETN for White. Do I accept? I mean, if there's any 2 running backs right now taking a smack to the face other than Ty Chandler, it's ETN and White. So it depends. Like, now with that's other, like Sean Tucker, Dearness Johnson. Like, I'll say this much: it might come down to which offense you believe in more. Do you believe in the Bucs or the Jags? Most people are probably going to say the Bucs. Yeah. Now, I think there's a strong chance that Tucker gets very, very small volume when White is healthy.
I don't know. I think they like Tucker. He's just so much more explosive. And in the passing game, like, he had that nice touchdown reception. I don't know. We've been worried about all the fears about Rachaad White have happened. The Bucs are good. The Bucs can run the football. The Rachaad White is just super, super inefficient, and it's killing us.
Yeah. Listen, I think it's just a little bit risky business when we look at the Bucs backfield and the Jags backfield right now. Just about anything could happen, and I still think a healthy ETN probably is a safer floor than White. But it's very tough to say. And both these guys will have somewhat involvement, but so will the other 4 running backs across these 2 teams that are involved. So it kind of depends on who you like more. You guys know me. Deep down in my soul, I have hope for Rachaad White, but we'll see. I don't have much hope, though. Do we believe that Fields is getting benched for Wilson? Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no passing game right now. They're winning games, but also, like, they won a game against the Raiders. You know?
Raiders pretty bad.
Yeah. You know, I mean, what is in the past few weeks, because they lost, last week they played the Colts or the week before?
Yeah, they played like 2
weeks before, because they played
3
Dallas,
weeks. They played Colts, then the Cowboys, and the Raiders.
So they've been I mean, they're 1-3 of their last starts, and they lost the Colts and the Cowboys. You know, Justin Fields was throwing some touchdowns, threw 3 touchdowns in that 3-game stretch, but I believe it. I think they won a passing game. I mean, Fields is the QB6 in fantasy. It definitely sucks, but also, you know, they get the Jets defense and the Giants defense in the next 2 weeks, which the Jets have some problems, and so do the Giants, but the Giants defense
is good. Like, they're fine. Yeah, that's like an average defense that makes plays.
Yeah. They have not had a single divisional game all year long. So they're going to hit this stretch after the bye week. They play Washington, they play the Ravens, the Browns, the Bengals, the Browns, Philly, the Ravens, Kansas City. Like, they're going to need to have a passing game in that stretch. Then they end the year week 18 in Cincy. So now, don't forget, Arthur Smith is in the mix, guys. Okay. We might see some stuff out of Fields still. Okay. We might see something cook up there. So, but yeah, I believe it. Josiah says it's a 50-50 chance. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is smoke. Tomlin putting some pressure on Fields, but I believe it. Just got offered Smith for Adams. Do I pull the trigger? Ooh. I mean, that's my guy. Devonta Smith, as consistent as can be. You know what to expect out of Devonta Smith. I'll say that much. But I think Adams going to be good.
I hate both of these offenses right now. Like, to be
Yeah.
fair, I hate both of these offenses. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like, come on, Nick Sirianni. Like, we're going nuts, talking smack to the Browns fans, and you barely beat the
no,
most
he was
beatable
talking
team.
smack to the Eagle fans. He was talking
was
smack
he?
to his own fans because they were chanting "Fire Sirianni" because they were tied at 10. It's goofball. Shaved his head, partially. Shaved his head. But
yeah,
touchdowns, they do score eventually.
I think there's more upside with Adams, but I think, like I said, Smith brings you a lot of consistency. But I don't disagree with Pete's sentiment that, like, we're not really looking at the two best offenses in the league by any stretch. So it comes down to personal preference. It's close. And I mean, the factors here are that Smith has A.J. Brown, Adams has A.J. Brown. So, you know. Or wait, what I said?
Adams got Garrett Wilson. Yeah, we knew. Yeah. We got
it. Do I deal with Schultz, A-Chain, and Darnold for Burrow and Madison? I mean,
can't believe this is a real question in 2024. It's a legitimate question. This is, yeah. I mean,
I'll say this much: like I've been saying it for weeks. Like Madison is someone you can start in fantasy. Like everyone's still like, I don't know. I get it. Madison like is not exciting to start, but he's doing enough to be a startable player in fantasy. So, and I mean, I know White's going to come back and that's going to hurt the volume, but even when White was getting like 18, 16 touches, it didn't matter.
It was terrible.
And Madison had that touchdown last week that got called back. Or else I think people would finally be accepting it, but he's a top 25 running back in fantasy. So now, like, and this team could implode at any minute and not be able to move the ball at all. So, I mean, I still like Darnold a lot.
That schedule for Darnold, like we talked about, like Detroit, awful pass defense. Rams, awful pass defense. Colts, awful defense. Jaguars, like the worst pass defense. The Titans, they're okay. That's about it.
I mean, I'll say this much. I would probably still rather have Burrow, but I think that the gap is still pretty close here. I mean, Burrow's got a pretty decent schedule. Browns, Eagles, Raiders, Ravens, Chargers, not great. Then a bye week. If you really want Burrow, I think it's fine, but like I don't think you're getting a massive drop off if you keep Darnold. And I think there's still more perceived upside with A-Chain than Madison. Schultz is like a non-factor here. Zay Flowers for A-Chain. I would do this. I would take Flowers over A-Chain. That I would do. Ross, what's going on? 8-team, half PPR. Everyone's stacked. Have Saquon, Connor, Jacobs, A-Chain, Dobbins, Dowdle. Do you try to trade for CMC or not worth it? I mean, like, depends on who you're trading. Like, if you're trading like A-Chain and Dowdle, A-Chain and Jacobs, A-Chain and Connor, like, it's probably worth the risk. But just don't trade Saquon. And I'm holding on to Dobbins for now.
Yeah. JK, he had a good game. He was 96 yards. Good game.
Yeah. Top 12 run defense. He looked fine. Taco, 4-2, 12-team. Got offered CMC for Connor and Pickens. Got Hurts, Connor, Dobbins, St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Laporta, Mason, Hunt, Pickens, Algier, Benson.
Ooh.
I would entertain this because you're 4-2, because you have Mason. and because he got Hunt on the bench, who I think until Pacheco's back is a good start. But Pickens might get a lot better with Russ out there, and he's got a really soft schedule. You don't really have any wide receiver depth, but you got two studs. But unless they're missing from your bench, there's still risk with acquiring CMC, but there's a lot of upside. So, like, it's still a fair trade for CMC, but you also have to accept the fact, like, if CMC misses 6 more weeks or 8 more weeks or the whole season, like, you just took that risk, you know? Now, like, if you do this trade, you move CMC to the IR, and there's like Josh Downs on waivers and Pop Douglas on waivers, or, you know, some of these players that are worth picking up right now and can be viable starters, and you think you have a shot to get some of them, then that changes things.
All right, I got a super chat over here from Ethan. 10-man PPR. His running backs are Kyron, Bijan, Mason, CMC, and Swift, Stevenson, and Irving. And his wide receivers are Neighbors, Debo, Adams, and Tucker Kraft is his tight end. Trade Adams and Swift for Brock Bowers and Tyreek Hill.
Ooh. Now that's close.
I don't know here. I think you keep, because I don't like Tyreek Hill. You know how I feel about the Dolphins.
I think I'd hold.
Yeah, I think I hold too.
I can understand wanting to move a running back because it's very deep at running back there. But yeah, I think I'd rather have Adams than Hill.
And Swift, and then you still, I mean, like, we're on the Bears, I guess. I know the schedule's about to get harder, but they actually can run the football, and I like Tucker Kraft as a tight end.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, the Bowers, Bowers is as valuable as anyone here. And at the same time, like, Hill might be a thing. Who knows? I don't know.
That's kind of. I think the upside is really high though with Adams right now.
And Swift is the RB2 in the last 4 weeks. So I can understand wanting to sell him high. He's probably not going to keep up that pace. I think I would hold. I think I agree. And we don't know when Tua's going to theoretically come back.
Yeah, so. Could be next week. It could be December.
Yeah. So definitely tough to say. But I think I'd hold. I think I agree. All right. Cluggy. 12-man PPR. Lineup is Stroud, Kyron, Moss, J.J. Evans, Kittle, DK, Wandell. How do we say Wandell Robinson?
I think that's right. Wandell Robinson.
Because it's that time of year where I just start to get crucified in the comments. Anyways, I know I need a running back too. Should I make any moves? Hopkins and Mostert, only bench pieces. Yeah, I mean, who can you really trade here? Like, you're not going to sell DK low. It's a bad move. You're not going to sell Evans low. It's a bad move. Rondell definitely still worth rostering. He's been so solid. Like, and when Neighbors comes back, that only helps him, Who are you going to trade here is the problem. You're not trading JJ. Kittle's a tight end 1. You're not trading him. You can't trade Hopkins and Mostert. You're not trading Kyron. You need an RB2. So you're probably playing waivers. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I mean, realistically, who can you trade? You can't really trade anyone. Like, can you move Wandell and Moss for like James Conner? That might be like your best bet, But then you're going to play Hopkins over Wandell. Like, I'd rather just hold this roster and have a weak RB2 and cross my fingers on the waivers for the next couple of weeks. Would you trade Chase Brown and Downs for Mooney and Dobbins? I mean, this is a wash. It just depends on who you prefer. And I think I don't know. I think I slightly lean Chase Brown and Downs, but you could argue this either way. So it's a wash. If you like it, Will, that's fine, but it's very close. Smokey, should I drop Keon? You can drop Keon Coleman if you need to. He might start to get some, something might open up here, but his ceiling is like, even when he scores, he's only getting like 8 or 9 fantasy points. So, I mean, I don't think he's completely out of the picture here, but what's his upside, Who would you trade Ferguson for? Picking Shakir, Dell, Allen. Should I trade my Hawkinson for a Dunze? I have Bowers. Okay, so we got this earlier. Looking for wide receiver help, 2 and 4. Have Nico, Deontay, Pittman, Ladd. So if you have Bowers, then yeah, you could do whatever you want. I would rank them, if you're 2 and 4, Dell, Pickens, Shakir, Allen. I know Allen's coming off a big game, but I don't trust him. You could flop those if you like Allen, I guess. I just don't think Roma Dunze, like, you can trade for Roma Dunze, sure, but do you really trust Roma Dunze? 9 points against the Jags? Like, I'd rather just hold Hawkinson for now. He gives you some nice depth. So, yeah, I think trading Ferguson here, though, is fine. Could also, you could try and wait and see if Ferguson has a better game this week and sell him a little bit higher, but I don't know that you're going to get much better anyways. But yeah, if you got Bowers, do what you want. Trade Godwin and get Kyron, got MHT and Neighbors. You can. It's a fair trade, but Godwin's been, and I know Kyron's doing his thing too, and Kyron's great.
But
Godwin is balling out, man.
And those receivers are coming back. So maybe Kyron's getting a little less volume here.
Yeah, but he's still going to score a touchdown every game.
I don't know. MHJ, I do not know what to think about MHJ anymore. I hate Kyler Murray so much. I hate him so much.
Well, that's the problem. Like, you can't trade MH Jr. for Kyron coming off of this past week, and it's a bad matchup this week for Marvin Harrison. He's banged up. Like, you might be able to trade Higgins or Neighbors, but once again, it kind of depends on the roster, and I might just prefer, because I think MH will be fine. Like, he's going to have better games. I don't think it's this week, but he's going to be a little bit volatile, whatever. But I might just prefer to roll Godwin, T. Higgins, and Neighbors, and if I have an additional flex, roll with MH, or you can try and wait till MH has another game that he pops in and try and trade for. Maybe don't get Kyron, but maybe you can get, like, Gibbs. People are like, Gibbs sucks. It's all Monty, and Gibbs the RB12 with, 12 or more fantasy points every game, where Kyron's still the RB5 and has, a touchdown in every game on the season. So I think you can potentially trade one of these guys for a good enough running back. But I just don't know that I'm, like, if I have a player in the top 5, I just don't know that I'm trading them,
Unless it's like like Nico Collins. If you want to, like, flip Nico Collins and try and get something else there, like, you got to win now or something.
Sure,
like
I mean,
that.
If you're you only got one win, then
or you're like 3-3, and it's like, I need to knock out some wins right now, and we'll figure it out in the playoffs, or somebody can coast to 6-0.
But I mean, Kyron is top 5, and I don't disagree. Cup, Puka, some point will be back, and
I mean, Neighbors was number 1, wasn't he, when he went down? Neighbors was wide receiver 1 when he went down.
That's what I'm saying. Like, being able to play Godwin, Higgins, and Neighbors, and then I know MH has been bad, but he still has some really good starts all the year. Yeah. So and it's okay. It's okay to play to your strengths. If your strength is wide receiver and your running backs are weaker, I mean, Godwin, T, and a healthy Neighbors would have gotten you through this week. I mean, maybe Godwin and T and an injured MH still got you through. So, Shane, trade Kincaid and Moss for McBride. I do like that trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do like that. If you, I mean, you can probably afford to lose Moss. So if that's the case, then sure. All right, bottom of the chat, that one guy offered Chase and A-Chain for Monty and Wilson.
Ooh.
Already Higgins. So I don't know. What would you do? I mean, it's Jamar Chase,
but
and Monty's just so consistent.
so good. Like, and that's not changing. The Lions have figured out, like, oh yeah, we should run the football to be good on offense. Now, this week, not a good matchup, but still.
Yeah. I'm really torn on that game. I think defenses are either just going to break.
I think it's going to be a high score game. I think it's going to be a game in the
Yeah.
40s. I think both teams are going to. I mean, Nick Mullins carved up the Lions last year twice. And guess what? No Aiden Hutchinson. There's going to be no pass rush from the Lions.
Yeah.
Minnesota's pass defense is bad. The Lions will throw the football, and then they'll run it in to assert their dominance at the 3-inch line. Oh, we're so good. We ran the ball in for a touchdown from the 3-inch line.
Yeah. I definitely think the secondaries will bend in that game. Run defenses, we shall see.
Probably not.
We shall see. But I think Wilson's going to be fine. I'd rather have Chase than Wilson. I'd rather have Monty than A-Chain. I don't care if you already have T. Higgins, though. Like, it's Jamar Chase, you know? It depends on the rest of the roster. I know it's a pain, but let us know the rest of your roster, and we'll go from there. You didn't say Pop over A-Chain or Mason? Yeah, I did. I would start him over both of them. Thoughts of flexing Seawatt this weekend? I mean, he's definitely flexible. I'm expecting points in that game, but he's also volatile. So, thoughts on Juju? I hope he can be a Walmart Rasheed. I mean, I like Juju. Like, he's fine, but we got to be careful playing this game. We've seen it before on the season with Wicks and Jawan Jennings. So, meh. I like Juju. I'm not trying to say I don't, but we also have to be a little bit careful here.
I mean, he was cut. He was cut in August.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's the Chiefs. You know, like if anyone's going to figure it out, it's the Chiefs, right? But I just don't know that we should expect 20 points every week. The Niners defense certainly not like super scary. They're 15th against wide receivers, like middle of the pack. I think let's see, I can check. They're 15th against running backs too. So yeah, they're just kind of like, they're okay, but not super scary. But Rashee Rice, I think, Juju will be fine, but let's just pump the brakes. Be a little bit cautious if he doesn't have, over 100 receiving yards this week. Do I drop Pittman and pick up Downs? Downs is getting more volume. Who else can you drop? But then, if you don't drop Pittman, you're going to be playing this game of like, do I start Downs? Do I start Pittman? Do I start both? It really depends on the roster and who else you could potentially drop here. Should I start Devonta over Dell or Downs? Yeah, I'm gonna go in and say Devonta. Wait, Devonta Smith or Devante Adams?
Oh, it's probably Devante Adams.
I'm assuming Adams too. Yeah.
Over Downs, yeah. I don't want anything to do with Anthony Richardson as my quarterback.
I do think Dell's gonna have another good week. I just think like Adams is gonna be definitely involved. But it's also like I don't really see this being a high-scoring game with the Steelers and Jets, and I know it's Rodgers, but how like he's still got to get into the swing of things here. He's been nursing that hamstring. I don't know. I think Dell has a little bit more upside here, but you could go Adams if you feel better about him, and I think Downs is still a good start. Is Tracy a drop now? My answer is going to be no. I mean, A, we don't know the status of Devin Singletary, and B, I think Tracy's earned snaps either way. So my answer is going to be no. Is Shakir worth dropping for Juju? Yes, but yeah, I think so. But Shakir will probably be fine.
Yeah, I don't.
That's pretty close. I mean, they're both the wide receiver 2. Some are going to argue that Worthy's the wide receiver 1, but or Worthy's, the wide receiver 2, but
Some would argue Juju could be the wide receiver 1 with everything going on there.
yeah, I mean, he was certainly used as a wide receiver 1 last week, but we got to see that on a consistent basis. It's kind of tough to say because we don't exactly know what to expect out of Shakir from this point. He definitely got shut down last week, though. And Tennessee is not an easy matchup. Tennessee's been good against the pass, as bad as they are everywhere else. So I think
it's just Will Levis. It's just Will Levis. Tennessee, that's it.
No one needs to throw against the Titans,
Nobody needs to do anything against the Titans.
Yeah.
Just let Will Levis do it.
I think there's more upside with Juju, but it is a little close. All right, that one guy of A.J. Brown and Walker, Brian Robinson, and Burrow. I want Chase, but exactly I don't want to give up Monty. So A.J. Brown, Walker, B-Rob, Burrow. It's so close here. Because right now you're rolling Burrow, A.J. Brown, Wilson, Walker, Monty, and you got B-Rob, who you can flex. Honestly, he's been good enough when healthy. I mean, Jamar Chase is involved. Jamar Chase is still the best player here for sure. AJ Brown and Jamar Chase on a weekly basis is kind of insane. I mean, they could put up 80 points on a weekly basis at their ceiling. So, I mean, right now you're in a spot where you can flex 2 running backs and have comfort and have Wilson as your wide receiver 2 or Higgins as your wide receiver 2. I think I hold. It's very close, but I think I hold. Very, very close. Very close. I mean, Walker, B-Rob, and Monty. I mean, where's Walker at? Walker is a RB. So you got 3 top 15 running backs. I mean, I think I just hold. If you want Chase, like, you can do it. It's Jamar Chase, but it's very close. Mondo, who should I look to trade Aaron Jones and Mason for? I mean, you got to find an RB needy team and go from there, but it's kind of a bad time to sell these guys. I mean, they're both coming off of an injured week, so you're not going to get you're selling low for sure. Do you need a running back or wide receiver would be my first question. And yeah, you're kind of selling low. I don't prefer to trade 2 guys coming off of injuries. So, do you know the Ramondre Stevenson update? No.
It's the Patriots. That's the update.
Yeah. No, there's no update.
Maybe.
Would you play Gibson? No. I mean, it's such a good matchup, but I'm like, no. Gibson is doing nothing with the opportunities, but it's such a good matchup. I
hate to see. It's so stupid. This is the stupidest matchup ever.
And that's the thing. Like, A-Chain against the Colts is still a great matchup. I probably just play A-Chain. I just don't trust Gibson. And, like, they're probably going to be throwing more. Like, Drake May can actually throw the football. Like, if Ramondre starts, then yeah, like, Ramondre's one thing, but I'm over Gibson. Like, I give up on him. So If you like it more, then sure, like if the matchup's there. But if A-Chain's healthy, the matchup is there for him as well. So, um, I just I don't. Uh, I'll put it this way: the Jaguars 24th against the run, the Colts are 21st. Like, yes, the Jags suck, but they're only 3 spots away from points allowed to the running back position. So, saying all A-Chain Cup neighbors are healthy, which 4 would you start? A-Chain neighbors Cup, Wilson, Brian Thomas, and Mason, asks Bryce. Neighbors Cup, Wilson, Brian Thomas.
Oh, boy.
Now, last week I said keep rolling with Brian Thomas in a bad matchup, and it's not an awful matchup.
He dropped that touchdown too. He had a touchdown
Yeah.
and he dropped it against the Bears at the end of that game. When that game was kind of over, he dropped a touchdown, which would have really kind of changed our outlook on him.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep rolling with Brian Thomas Jr. I know Christian Gonzalez good, but the Patriots don't scare me very much. So just give me the wide receivers here. Mason, bad matchup, banged up. A-Chain, you can play A-Chain if he's healthy, but it's like I'm not purposely trying to when I got upside of, neighbors and all these other guys. J-Dubs, how are you? Good to see you. Michael, you are certainly welcome. Cam Akers. Who should I trade Josh Downs for? Well, it really depends when you guys are asking, for a trade question. It depends on your roster. It depends on what needs you have. You're going to have to target a wide receiver needy team, but it just really depends, I mean, I can name a couple names, but how much value is that actually going to give you if 2 of those players are on your team and I don't know that? Or so it just depends. I mean, personally, I prefer to hold Josh Downs if possible. So I do this trade full PPR, Chubb and Sutton for Juju and Tank. I don't hate that. I have Mason, Walker, and A-Chain at running back, while my wide receivers are very bad with Evans, Kirk, and Downs. Yeah, I think this is a fair trade. I mean, the disparity between Sutton and Juju probably not that large. Sutton's still going to have moments like this past week, Tank is going to lose value when Nico's back, but now Chubb is interesting because he's still a part of the Browns. So I mean, Chubb will probably be startable, and Mason's banged up, A-Chain's banged up. But yeah, I think if you like the trade, it's a feasible trade for sure. And your wide receivers are not that bad. Evans and Kirk are just coming off of bad weeks. J-Dubs, I thought of you last night watching the game. I actually truly did. I was thinking of your best ball teams last night, bro.
I love it. I had one of my friends ask, like, because he had Cook, and he's like, "Who do I start? I need 3 points." And I was like, "Hey man, trust your gut." But I was kind of like Ray Davis. He had them both, and like another guy in the group chat was like, "Tyler, I've seen Tyler Johnson. He's the guy." I was like, I didn't want to be that guy and be like, "What are you talking about?" But then he got his 3 points, but I was just sitting there smiling, like, "Told you,
That is
Ray Davis is the guy."
That is really funny because I almost had the same exact scenario last night. But at least they didn't start Braylon Allen.
No.
Yeah, 0.8 points. Tommy at the bottom of the chat, breaking news. Packers signed Brandon McManus at kicker.
Yeah, they got rid of Naverson.
What's his name?
Braden.
He missed a field goal this past week, or
probably he saw it.
He missed something because I watched. Here, I'll pull it up.
The Packers got cute. They got cute. They had to get rid of Carlson because he was inconsistent, and they go with the young guy. Yeah. They could have kept Greg Joseph. Like, Greg Joseph missed 2 kicks with the Giants. Maybe it's because the holder was, they had a new holder. Like, could have just went with a reliable veteran who's not going to kick anything crazy, but he's going to be consistent.
So Naverson was 4 of 4 of extra points, but 2 of 3 on field goal attempts. And um I that somehow impacted the game last week. So what was the score last
They
week?
killed them. They killed the Cardinals.
Yeah,
The game wasn't
that's
close.
right. Why was I thinking like that was a big deal? And then the week before,
He was
he was 3 of 3 on extra points and 1 of 1 on field goals.
against the Rams.
It was week 4 against the
Against
Vikings
us,
where
yeah,
he
he was
was
2.
he was 0 of 2 and then he made all his extra points. But um, I think they just want to have someone they can rely on. I guess is how they feel. McManus is good. He just had like
He's awful.
some
Isn't he like an awful person or something? He like beat his wife or
yeah
something like crazy.
he had some off the field stuff in the past year that probably just going to be settled in court. But yeah, I mean McManus is a good kicker, so
Just leave it to the
let's
Packers. Scumbag
yeah.
franchise.
Let's say it's not like any NFL team really cares. So,
No, they
but thank you, Tommy, for the update. Look at all the breaking news tonight. We should put Brandon McManus on the thumbnail here.
no. We got plenty of other.
Akers.
Amari Cooper in a Bills jersey, Devante Adams in a Jets jersey, Garrett Wilson crying. Those are fine.
I did purposely use a sad-looking Garrett Wilson on the thumbnail, but I should update it to Cam Akers, a sad Ty Chandler. All right, moving along. Brian, Sam Darnold, Kirk, or Purdy? And should I play Monty or Madison? You always play Monty. Always play Monty. What is he now? The RB. I think it was the RB6 last week. He's still the RB6, but they had a week 5 bye. So yeah, it is a bad matchup, but yeah,
If anybody's getting a touchdown, it'll be Monty.
Yeah,
because he's the hammer at the goal line.
Yeah. Darnold, Kirk, Purdy. I mean, I will say, like, there's no reason to roster all 3 of these guys.
Trade one of them for something.
If you're in a league where you have 6+ bench spots and like, you're 6-0 or 4-2 or 5-1, and like you're just hoarding quarterbacks and there's no one else on waivers, and that's one thing. But outside of that, you're either going to start Sam Darnold every week or start Purdy every week and take what you can get. And I put those guys above Kirk right now. And I really like Kirk. I think Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback, but I don't think his fantasy ceiling is super consistently high. Like, I get it, 35 points in week 5. And I feel like the Falcons maybe should have learned something from that game, but last week it didn't quite look like that.
But they actually ran. This is what we always wanted with Arthur Smith, at least. They ran both running backs. They ran both running backs.
They had no reason to throw the football, to be fair, last week. And
just win.
This week is going to be a more open game script, as the Seahawks have allowed a lot of passing game scripts. And then they get the Bucs again, and they get Dallas. Like, there's probably going to be some good game scripts here before they face the Saints and the Broncos on the road. But I mean, that's the thing. Even if Kirk is your guy over one of these two, like, you don't need to roster all 3 of these guys. Like, every single week trying to decide. Like, I'm in a dynasty super flex league where I have Purdy, Dak, and Burrow. And even in that situation's tough. Like, just choosing 2 out of the 3. This past week, I made the wrong choice. I benched Purdy on a short week, and Dak gave me 5 points, and I lost to J-Dubs, if you're still listening. And if I started Purdy, I would have won. It's very, very close when it comes to quarterback position. So, but, I'm not just going to leave you hanging. Let's take a look at some matchups. It is a bad matchup for Purdy, but the Chiefs are still middle of the pack, 16th against the position. Kirko Chains, Seahawks are 19th against the position. Then Sammy D, the Lions are 11th against the position. But I think...
And that's like the one they had, and that's with a super outlier this week against Dak.
Yeah, I was about to say they probably still have the weakest secondary in terms of fantasy points allowed. I know the secondary's been playing better.
And there's no Hutchinson. Like, there is no pass. They have no pass rush without Aiden Hutchinson. That's like not. People need to be like screaming that from the mountaintops.
Yeah, just smashing Dallas into the ground
Feels good.
came at a price.
Feels
Came at a price.
good. Hey man, I'm not gonna feel bad for a team whose safety's clamoring about how he took out 2 tight ends last year and he's got no regrets, tearing a bunch of knees. Not gonna feel bad.
Yeah.
Not gonna feel bad.
I mean, they look like yesterday. They looked like the Super Bowl team, but then Hutchinson goes down. It's very very bad injury. I mean, you gotta feel bad for Hutchinson. I mean, that was scary stuff. But going back to the point here, I probably start Darnold, but it's close. Like that's the problem. I hate sometimes rostering more than one quarterback. The first couple of weeks of the season, I don't mind it, but as the season goes on, it's like let's just pick one guy and roll with the punches, you know. All right, Francis, we got Deontay, Mooney, Ayuk, Downs, and Tolbert, Hall, JT, Mason, Ford, Sermon. Who should I drop and who should I claim? Allen, Lockett, Watson, Lazard, Wilson, Pop, and Ray Davis. I mean, you can probably. I was really high on Tolbert, and I still think he's going to have plenty of moments. But should have done more last week, but I think if anything, Ford and Sermon. The problem with Sermon, like Sermon might still be okay, but Goodson's getting the touches, and you really break down like the game 2 weeks ago. Like he was very inefficient. He just had 6 catches and scored a touchdown last minute, and like 3.8 yards per carry against the Jags. Like, come on, 1.6 yards per carry against Tennessee, and now we got Goodson getting touches. Like, you're only really rostering or starting Sermon. You know, of course, if JT's out, but also like if you're just like cooked at running back,
you have to start it.
So probably Ford and Sermon. Then, I mean, if you don't need to drop Tolbert, he's still a wide receiver too. In terms of who you should claim, Pop Douglas and Lockett. We don't really need a like. Braylon Allen's handcuff value is just low. Like he's not a standalone player. I've been saying this for weeks. I will admit, going in this past week, I was like, you guys are really in a bad spot. It is a good matchup, but hopefully you didn't start him. But I go Pop and Watson, then Ray Davis. Now Wilson, if MH misses time, sure, but it's not like it's a good matchup this week. I have some faith for Allen Lazard. I think there's going to be moments, but it's just the volume. Like there's 2 clear-cut guys. The run game's going to get better. I'm sad about Lazard because I've been talking up Lazard for weeks and telling you guys you can start Lazard for weeks, and now we probably can't.
His last moment will be that Hail Mary.
I know.
That's the end of Allen Lazard in 2024.
You know, there's going to be times he's going to score. There's going to be, you know, you got to apply all the pressure to Wilson and Adams, but it's not going to be consistent. So I go Pop, Watson, Davis. You can decide after that. Kirk to the Chiefs would be a good trade acquisition for the team, hypothetically. Yeah, they might get in the mix here. I mean, but
Calvin Ridley, another one.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Another guy who can across the middle.
So I think that the 2 worst catchable ball rates in the NFL have gone to Cooper and Ridley. So, and the 2 worst QBRs in the league, if I'm not mistaken, are Levis and Watson. So now Watson's QBR is like historically bad. Like you have to go back, like going back to like the 1950s. It's like top 5 bad. Like it's.
I saw a stat like something the Browns on third down are like 25%, and that in the last 24 years, like nobody's even close to that being that bad.
I think one of the other stats, I don't know the exact number, but it's like Watson's like 0 of 26 on his last third down attempts. Like it's awful. But yeah, I would like to see Kirk to the Chiefs, but I also think I don't know what the Jags are going to do. I think this game in London, like if the Jags lose to the Pats in London,
middle seat Doug. He's flying back coach.
It might be off with his head. The Queen might come out, you know. But who knows? The Chiefs might just. I mean, I think the Chiefs were a popular team last year around the trade deadline to hypothetically trade for a wide receiver. And like, nah, we'll just win a team with or win a Super Bowl
No,
with.
they traded for McCole Hardman. What you mean?
Yeah, that's true. They did, and he did score in the Super Bowl. That's true. You are right. They did trade for McCole Hardman. I forgot about that.
It was a
But
big acquisition.
does that really count? What do they trade? Like a seventh
Yeah,
rounder or something?
nothing. Well, Marquez Valdez-Scantling just got cut by the Bills for the Amari
I could
Cooper
see that.
pickup. So here we go. He's coming right back to KC.
He probably, honestly, that would not surprise me. But didn't he have like a weird
He
injury?
I don't know.
I think he's healthy though. We'll see. But I mean, with B Tom emerging, it makes sense. Also, I think Gabe Davis could make sense coming off of his. But who's going to trade? Gabe Davis to the Bills. Like just Bills load up, have 7 wide receivers that can play. What are your expectations for Chubb, short term and long term? Well, Ford is banged up, and I mean Foreman, like they're going to split touches right away. They're going to ease them in, but like they're going to give him some value touches here. It's a bad matchup. Or excuse me, they get the Bengals. It's a bad matchup next week, but the Bengals have been okay. They're 19th against position. They're not very good. Weaker against the run than the pass. I don't really. Okay, so in the start sit video, I said, with an asterisk, like, yeah, you can start Nick Chubb. I had him in the start category. If Ford was not hurt, I would have not done that. But I also went on to explain, like, I'm not going out of my way to start Nick Chubb. Like, we still need to like have a little bit of caution here, but it's a good enough matchup against the Bengals. But this is still the Browns' offense. Like, how are they really going to move the ball? But sure, if you want to fire him up, he's been practicing in full pads, like not just since yesterday, but his practice window's been open. So I think Chubb is startable, and that made people in the comments mad, which like I've been the guy for weeks and through the offseason has been like, I'm not really a fan of Chubb, but at least where he was being drafted. But I digress. I don't have super high expectations because he's still linked to the Browns. So like they play the Ravens and the Chargers at home in weeks 8 and 9. Then they have a bye week. Then they get the Saints, the Steelers, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Chiefs. It's just not like they might lose all these games, it's just not a good schedule for running backs. They get Cincy and Miami week 16 and 17. That's better, but like this is why I really was a little bit surprised that Chubb is coming back this soon, because it's like, what are you playing for?
Just get back into shape. Just get back into shape. That's it.
Yeah. What is Myles Garrett playing for? What is David Njoku playing for? It's like, their offensive line, like the starters who are healthy, like what are we doing here? The players at some point, like I'm telling you, like they have this bye week coming back, like they're probably about to go 0-3 in the next 3 weeks. And if they do, like going into that bye week, what is the state of this team? Like they can't cut Watson and they can't trade him because
they can trade. So there is a way out of this.
Is there?
You can trade Watson. You send him to like Carolina, a team who has a ton of cap space, and you send Watson and your first round pick for like a conditional 7th. And so that way it's only an $80 million dead cap and not a $170 million dead cap.
Well, if they can pull that off.
They know, like Stefanski's got to have told everybody, like this is literally a middle finger to the ownership. Like you wanted him, you had to trade for him. We'll play Watson. Look what you got.
Yeah. But I also think the ownership is like overruling the head coach here, because Stefanski is not perfect, but
he's won coach of the year twice. He knows he's not this stupid. He knows Watson cannot play. Just Jameis Winston should be his quarterback. He knows that.
And it's an even bigger middle finger is Baker Mayfield. Just straight up.
Well, Stefanski didn't want Baker either. So
that's true.
He wanted to get rid of Baker. There's a little
exactly. And so maybe, but I digress. Chubb, I don't have high expectations for. I just don't, but he'll be startable at times. But it's a bad stretch coming up. Mr. Bakes a lot. What's going on? Pete is a Vikings fan. Is Hawkinson playing this weekend?
I don't
I
think
don't think so.
so. I didn't hear that. The practice window opened up in London, so maybe Thursday, maybe after the Thursday game, because though they have to activate him after that game, so they can. But they did make a roster move and cut a guy this week. Maybe that was for the Akers trade, but people said it was Hawkinson. I don't think he's playing this weekend. Don't think he's playing.
Yeah, spotted at practice yesterday, but I agree, probably not playing. And I mean, why would you rush him back when you got Johnny Munt on this roster?
Johnny
You
the
know what I'm
goat,
saying?
the Johnny the goat Munt, man. Let's go.
Now, it wouldn't shock me because this is a big divisional game, in the best division in all of football.
Ever,
Where
maybe ever.
Through the first 6
6
weeks,
weeks.
maybe.
Yep.
Maybe ever.
It is. It's definitely the best
Yeah.
through the first 6 weeks.
But yeah, like Hawkinson fresh off the injury. I mean, like a running back, wide receiver, one thing, a tight end. I don't know if I'm gonna flex him. And I don't think that he's gonna play.
And if he does it, it's limited. Now maybe Hutchinson not playing helps him like play.
Sure.
Because if Hutchinson was playing, there's no shot they're going to keep the tight ends in the block, and he's not a block. He's not ready to be blocking like that. I can't imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't.
Look for LA on Thursday. Look for a short week.
Yeah,
LA,
they have
Thursday.
a soft schedule coming up. There's going to be an upset in there somewhere, but this Vikings team is set up to, like, they play Chicago weeks 12 and 15. Outside of that, no divisional games outside of this week. They're going to go into the end of the season in a really strong spot in that division. So, unless things start crashing down and everything changes and Darnold is seeing ghosts again and JJ breaks his kneecaps.
No, don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. I just traded Saquon and Higgins for Chase and Devonta Smith. I would have not done. Well, Jamar Chase or Chase Brown? Jamar Chase, fine. Let's take who you want here. If it's Chase Brown, then I would have definitely not done this. But I think it's Jamar Chase, so pick your poison here. And it's good poison either way. Thoughts on Kendre Miller? I mean, he's coming off IR, I think. This is Kamara's backfield. Like, he's just a handcuff, and Jamal Williams is still there, and Williams has gotten touches, and I roster him if you want, but you're not starting him anytime soon. Ghost Hunter, half PPR, assuming good health for all. Need one for running back and one for flex between Cook, Jones, Sutton, Hill, Bigsby, Chubb. Do y'all think Hawk's going to play this week? So we just went over the last part, but for running back, Cook. Like, if Cook's healthy, I'm playing Cook. And a flex, I mean, I probably play Hill in this matchup, but you could play Jones. I'm kind of pumping the brakes on Bigsby a little bit, but he does have a good matchup if you like him. 10-team half PPR lost Rice and Collins and now have a super thin wide receiver room. That sucks. Should I trade Monty and Leggett for Mooney and Deontay?
If you have to. I like Monty. So Monty's our guy.
I know. It's like, I mean, is Monty like a flex option for you? Is he your RB2? Like,
is he not even playing, maybe? Like, maybe you have some crazy running back room?
Like, Leggett is going to have, I don't think we can trust him. I didn't trust him going in the last week, but he was fine at 11 fantasy points or whatever. Like, he is startable. I mean, it does help you immediately. Like, that's the other thing. Do you have 2 wins? Do you have 6 wins? Like, how bad do you need the points? But also, like, Mooney's good, but he's got a lot of volatility. Mm-hmm. And then Deontay is still a part of the Panthers. Like, he's fine. He scored this past week. Monty's a tough trade. Like, Monty's the RB6. Like, I feel like we're still kind of trading him under value here. What's the roster look like, Frank? Are we trading Adams high in Dynasty? Yeah, to a competing team? Sure. Like it's that time of year in Dynasty, you're going to have those teams, that are 4-2, 5-1, 6-0, be like, I don't care about my 2027 first rounders, my 2026 first rounders. So if they are paid up in their league through those years, yeah, I mean, this is what you do, right? So, yes. And the Dynasty leagues, trade me Devante Adams. I'll take him. I'm playing for wins in all of our community Dynasty leagues. So it's pronounced Joe Dirt. That's right.
Joe Dirte. He got hurt.
That's right. Been doing very bad in waivers, says Run CMC. Everyone is stacked. I'm low on wide receiver. Burrow, Kyron, Gibbs, AJ, Deontay, Kincaid, A-Chain. In my bench, Chase Brown, Mason, DJ Moore, J-Mo. How are you? Wait. You got AJ Brown, Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, and J-Mo. I mean, you might be thinner in a 10-teamer, but you're not down that bad. I would target downs for sure out of these options. Who can you drop? I mean, your team is not bad.
Yeah, I like this team a lot. Like,
you don't really have like the closest thing to a drop here is A-Chain or Mason because he's hurt, or Chase Brown because maybe in some world Moss comes back to life. I would prefer to like trade Mason and Deontay and upgrade that way. And hold on to J-Mo. I mean, Jamison Williams is a play every week. The offense is like booming. Like they're having offensive linemen line up at wide receiver. Like they're not going to do that this week against the Vikings, but like they went into the Cowboys Stadium and just played goofball and like this is a great offense, and Hutchinson going down, like the defense is going to be worse and they're going to continue to need to throw the football. And Jamison Williams leads the team in receiving yardage. And may I say, when we first started making content for the season back in the spring, this was one of my guys, so anyways, yeah, J-Mo is a wide receiver 15, so like I'd rather play him than Deontay. Now I do like Deontay, but Deontay coming off a good game, Jordan Mason, maybe we have C-Mac coming back. He's a little dinged up. I still like Mason, still like Deontay, but maybe you compare those two and get an upgrade that way. But your team is not bad. Armando, would you guys trade Hunt for Brown? I want to get rid of Hunt before Pacheco comes back. That's fine. It's a fair trade. It's a fair trade. I also don't mind just riding Hunt into week 12, 13, or 14, whatever it's going to be. Y'all think it's time to bench Kyler for goof? I have Caleb on bye, and my other super flex starter is Darnold. You also think I should pick up May and play him instead of one of them?
yeah,
No, like I'm still going to roll Kyler, Goof, Caleb, and Darnold. Now, like I think you can play Drake May this week, but I don't know how comfortable I'm going to get with saying start Drake May. Now, we do see rookie quarterbacks play well, like
a lot of them.
But
We've seen all of them so far, basically. Besides Bo Nix has had Jaden and Caleb have had monster games.
And Nix is playing a little bit better. Like maybe Nick's not playing great, but he's putting up 20 plus fantasy points in the last two starts, and that's what we have to really look at, right? So, yeah, like Drake May is. Let's just pump the brakes, but this week you can start Drake May is the point. But then he gets the Jets, the Titans, the Bears. We'll have to see. But I probably hold Kyler. He can still pop. But I just don't think you need to make any drastic moves. Caleb, Kyler, Goff, Darnold, like you're fine here. Now, if Drake May is out there and you can afford to pick him up, of course that gives you an advantage. But do you really need to sacrifice a skill position player? Probably not. Denver or the Vikings this week. I go Denver. I still
Yeah,
like the Vikings.
it's just a
Yeah.
tough matchup. This is like the best offense in football. It's like
Yeah. And I said it in the defense video for the week. You can still start the Vikings. I think like they're probably going to come away like 7-8 fantasy points in a bad world. Like, but the Broncos, even if Pat Surtain misses this week, like they're playing a rookie quarterback, and um, the Bucks had 19 fantasy points last week, and they gave up 27 points. So, you know, even if the Broncos bend a bit here on this short week, like, this is a good defense outside of Pat Surtain. So I'll take the Broncos, but that's the thing. I don't want to drop the Vikings. I just don't. And they have a good stretch coming up.
great stretch coming up.
The two teams, if they're available, who both had bye weeks recently, the Vikings and the Chargers, maybe not this week, but you look at their upcoming schedules, the Chargers are about to go on an absolute tear. I know they bent at the end of the game. They should have had double digits, and they didn't. But after the Cardinals, which is still a good matchup this week, they get Spencer Rattler, Deshaun Watson, and Will Levis all in a row. Then after that, it's pretty bad. They get the Ravens, the Falcons,
but maybe they got so much confidence that they're going to be great.
Now, in the playoffs, they do have Denver week 16 and the Patriots week 17. But this stretch for the next few weeks, like they might be the highest scoring team in defensive scoring. I mean, with the Cardinals included, especially if MH is out. I mean, Kyler still has some turnovers in the past couple of weeks, but I talked about this in the defensive video. Like, these are the two teams, like, you cannot afford to drop the Vikings because they do play Detroit this week, but then they get the Rams, the Colts, the Jags, Will Levis, the Bears, which the Bears have been better, but there's opportunity. The Cardinals, Falcons, probably not the best, but I feel like they match up okay against the Falcons. Then the Bears, once again, like 50-50. Seattle, there's probably opportunity. Green Bay, they played well against Green Bay early in the season. So the Vikings are that team, though. Like, we can just ride this team every week. Like, the floor is going to be okay, and the ceiling's just massive. The other team that I feel a similar fashion about is the Packers, because like they're giving up points, they're giving up air yards, and they're still getting you double-digit fantasy points.
Force 1 million turnovers.
And they didn't get any picks last week, but they had
3 fumbles,
2 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. So
dude, I had somebody call me out on that when it was like the Packers defense is bad, and they're like, Packers defense is bad. I was like, yeah, their defense is bad. They just force 1 million turnovers. Like, they've been cooked by good offenses.
There's a big difference between a bad or good defense and a bad or good fantasy defense. The Chiefs are maybe the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
They're not a good fantasy defense. They're okay to play in fantasy, but they only have double digits once on the season, then 7 or less points in every other game. And they've only given up 20 or more points twice on the season. But like in the game, they gave up 25 points to the Bengals was the week they had 13 fantasy points. But they're the defense 17 in fantasy. They're a top 5 defense in real life,
It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's like defense. I forget one year. It was like when the Bears defense really wasn't that good, but all they did was get like pick sixes or forced. Like, if you're defense that scores touchdowns, there's a big difference.
Right. Picks, fumbles, defensive scoring.
Kick
return. That's what matters. Fantasy scoring.
Got a good special teams too. That helps a lot.
Sure. So back to the point. I'd start Denver this week, but don't drop the Vikings. Don't. Keep Otten or pick up Kmet.
Ooh. I like Cole Kmet, man. Cole Kmet.
I know. I dropped Kmet. I mean, I still won my matchup, but I dropped Kmet for Kraft. And this is a league where I'm like trying to just dominate because I have been. I've lost one game. It was super flex league. It's the week Tua got hurt. I lost by 0.018. Anyways, Kmet's fine. You can ride the waves. He's not going to have 24 points every week. He had 25 in week 3, but he's had 2 really good games against 2 really bad defenses against the position. He's a good tight end, but Otten's probably just a safe maybe not as high of a ceiling. I probably prefer Komet for the upside, but Otten's been fine. Now Otten's got a tough schedule coming up, but I don't know. This offense feels like anyone can have 20 points at any point in time. So I'll say Komet, but both are definitely if you can roster both, that's fine too. All right, we got to this earlier. Mila, would y'all trade Stroud for Mason and a 1 QB? I have Jaden Daniels. Well, if you have Daniels, you're fine. You know, his bye week's going to come at some point. It'd be nice to have Stroud then. So with Mason, the injury, he could probably play this week. You know, it's a pain management thing, but CMC's somewhere on the horizon, I think. Jaden Daniels' bye week is not till week 14. Stroud's bye week is also week 14. I'm glad we checked. So Stroud, if you're just going to roll Jaden Daniels, doesn't have any value. So it depends on who you get back, but there's still risk involved with going with Mason. Do I trade Amari for McLaurin? Ooh, that's a little tough to answer because Amari can just start balling out in this offense.
But
Terry's balling. Oh man,
Terry, that second touchdown he had on Sunday, unbelievable. That was prime Terry right there.
And that chemistry is just spot on, man. And the opposing defenses know it. Who else are they going to throw to? Zach Ertz, sure, but they're playing Carolina. Chicago's a tough matchup. The Giants not a great matchup. Pittsburgh, they got a little tough stretch here.
Mm-hmm. The Commander schedule gets. We're going to see how for real this team is.
Sure. And the Ravens secondary, by the way, they suck.
This might be a little misleading. The Ravens have faced the top 4 quarterbacks in QBR this year, and the one quarterback that's not is a guy named Patrick Mahomes. Huh. So they've faced insane quarterbacks. They faced Allen. They faced Burrow. They faced Daniels. They faced who else? They faced somebody else that was lights out. This could be a little misleading that the Ravens secondary is not as terrible as we think it is.
I like that. Mahomes, Gardner Minshew, Dak Prescott.
Dak, yeah.
Allen, Burrow, Jaden Daniels, now Baker this week, but then they get Watson, Nix, Burrow, Wilson or Fields, Herbert, Hurts, and then the bye week.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot better matchups compared to what they faced. Now they didn't do great against Gardner Minshew. That's the one thing you can point to. It's they were bad.
Gardner, actually, that was his one
great
game where it's okay, Gardner might be able to hold on, and he didn't. But this comes down to personal preference here. So I kind of lean McLaurin still, but I think Cooper has an insane amount of upside. So pick your poison, but it's good poison. And Sal giving us a super chat. That's crazy. One of the best fantasy football YouTubers out there. I'm one time I had a fake Sal Vetri account follow our TikTok page. So I'm almost is this real? But thank you so much. Thanks for checking out the channel. And thank you for the super chat. We will continue to keep up the work and keep grinding.
That's what I love.
You do the same. Appreciate that.
Spread the love.
Of course, if you guys have not already seen his content, go check it out. It makes great daily fantasy content. Is all over the place. Is on Yahoo's channel as well. And certainly makes some of the best content out there. So thank you again. Very, very kind. All right, where are we at here? We're at almost an hour and 40 minutes in. I think we already got this one. Yep. Keep rolling for about another 20 or 30 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and try and get caught up with the chat here. Should I do Jones for Jacobs? If you need to win now, you need points now, then take the points now. I think without the injury, right, I prefer Jones. I still like Jacobs. Like, I'm still okay with Jacobs, you know? But the ceiling's just low because they could be on the 1 yard line and they're like, let's let Jordan Love throw it up, guys. Like,
This is so true.
let's get a penalty on purpose and back us up 5 yards and then let J-Lo throw it up there.
He's delaying games, taking delaying games on purpose.
You know, like he's got one touchdown on the season against an awful run defense.
And he like kind of stumbled in, did he? Like just kind of fell into the end. So it wasn't even a clean run.
So Jacobs has a low ceiling, but Jones a little bit banged up here. I mean, once again, I prefer Jones, but if you need the points now, then go for Jacobs. But if Jones wasn't hurt, I think I'd say Jones for sure. All right, yeah, Gibson is the king of failing us all.
Not me. Never heard of him.
I'm done with him. Even this past week, I broke down all the Texans starts. Their top 10 against running backs going into the year, and they'd given up 100 or more rushing yards in every matchup, I think, for one. So I even said on my Sunday morning video, like, maybe if you're desperate, we can still get something out of Gibson here. And just no. I'm done with him. All right, Mad Max. Which wide receivers would you not send with Chubb for London? Higgins, Shaheed, Downs, Waddle. I would just not send Higgins. To get London, I'm okay with swapping Downs, but if you can pull this off with Shaheed or Waddle in the mix, then do so. Mm-hmm. I don't know that you're going to be able to. I mean, Shaheed's banged up. Spencer Rattler's throwing to him. Waddle, just, I mean, same kind of boat. There's just very, very low value here. So I do not trade Higgins right now. I mean, I think to get London, like, Downs is okay. But I prefer to keep Downs if we can. What does this mean for Wilson? So we talked about this at the beginning of the stream. Wilson will be fine. I mean, Devonta Smith is okay. T. Higgins is okay. Waddle, when everyone's healthy, is okay. Shaheed has been fine when everyone's healthy. Like, we can go on and on.
Look at Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard's doing good with Garrett Wilson as his wide receiver.
This is my main argument today. Like
the number 2
top 12 fantasy wide receivers on this offense right now, and one of them's Allen Lazard. Like, it'll be okay.
Allen Lazard's fine. Devante Adams is a lot better than Allen Lazard, guys.
Right. Wilson's okay. He'll be okay.
Probably better.
Tank Aubrey Walker for Henry. Yeah.
Kicker trade. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just sure. You get Henry. You can afford it. Yeah. Are we entertaining trading CD at this point? No.
Depends.
I'm not.
I mean, it depends what you're going to get. Like,
sure. I mean, it always really depends.
Good?
Yeah. He's still a top 12 wide receiver. Like, he had 16 points in week 6. Like, yeah, there seems in the last 2 weeks to be a little bit of disparity between the targets and the catches, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine. In the playoffs, they get the fantasy playoffs. They get the Panthers, the Bucks, the Eagles. Like, and CD tends to do a lot of damage at the end of the season. So I'm good here. Compromise. We put Taysom Hill on the thumbnail just to make Pete happy.
God, I hate Taysom Hill. God, I hate him.
I need to update the emojis for channel members, and we need Johnny Munt, Taysom Hill, Trevor Lawrence.
You guys don't even know Johnny Munt. My dad met Johnny Munt at the game in London and told him great catch, and I was like, yeah.
Dude, I am so happy that your parents met Johnny Munt.
I know. They said he has a cute kid. Says baby, little son, that. Adorable. Johnny Munt, great guy, apparently. Great guy.
Yeah. No, should have invited him to join the channel.
That's what I said. That's what I was like. Yeah, we need Johnny Munt on here. That we stand for you, Johnny.
I know. Squad cook this week finished with 160 points. Let's go, Mateo.
It's cooking.
Joe, trade Tracy to receive Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, for sure. And I like Tracy. I think he's going to continue to get touches. But yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
in a heartbeat. That's a great sell high, buy low. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Chase was good, bro. Tolbert dropped a bomb, but the bomb thrown to him, but it looked like the sun
The
was in his
sun
eyes.
was in his eyes.
I know.
I remember that play. Jerry.
There's like, you look at the replays, like everyone's telling, hey, Jerry, by the way, Mr. Billionaire, when your team's facing the sun in your stadium, it's a huge problem. And he's like,
it's hard to predict, where the sun is going to be at the exact time of the year in the afternoon. It's hard to predict that. There's no way they could have possibly known what the sun was going to look like through this big glass window in October at 3:00 in the afternoon. Like, there's no way to know.
yeah.
Oh, wait.
It's like, I still think the Cowboys might be more dysfunctional than the Jets right now, somehow. Might be close.
Kind of.
But...
Yeah. They just draft better.
Yeah. Buffalo or Chargers, both are great, but I might have to roll with the Buff this week against Will Levis. Yeah. I know they slipped a little bit against
I'm a little
the Jets.
worried because Tony Pollard they might have a good game running the football.
That's true.
They've been running the ball well, Tennessee.
That's the one thing they're doing well. They're good against the run as well. But now I like the Chargers a lot this week. Overall, I'd rather roster the Chargers. And it's not really like a great stretch. It's an okay stretch coming up for Buff. I was calling them Buff from now on, but
Buff.
I like the Chargers, and I'd rather roster the Chargers. So, but yeah, more upside this week for the Buff. Will Levis turnover every game. I forget. I went over this in the defense video. I think it's 2 or more turnovers in 4 games and 3 or more turnovers in at least 2 games. It's pretty bad. Mateo, we got Allen, Kyron, Monty, AJ, Ayuk, Kittle, Deontay, the Niners D. Myers, Ramondre, Ridley, Downs, Tracy, and Waddle. Any changes? Looking to trade Ramondre. Well, it's just never a good idea. Like, he didn't play this past week. We just never want to trade a player like coming off a 0-point performance. Like, if he plays this week against Jacksonville, he's gonna have a good game. Like, you can sell him then. So I'd wait. Starting lineup: Allen, Kyron, Monty, AJ, Ayuk, Kittle, Deontay. I just roll with that. You could argue Downs here over Deontay. Actually, you could bench Ayuk if you want.
Don't say that. I have it sucks, but it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
You can bench Ayuk. You can start him.
I just don't have any hopes or expectations for him.
I know. I might bench Ayuk here and go. As soon as you bench Ayuk, he's going to have another.
He's going to do it. He's going to go crazy.
Yeah. So, it's just like a big eye roll. But yeah, I mean, lineup looks fine, and I'd probably wait to trade Ramondre. Chase was down 35 and started Davis and Lazard. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, let me try and get caught up here. Bot 098. Garrett Wilson and Freiermuth and Mostart for DK and Fergie. I'd probably do this trade, but I think DK will be better. Like, DK is one of these guys. Like, it's going to be a little up and down.
It's DK. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if the gap between Wilson and DK is that bad. Like 3 weeks ago, you would have done this in a heartbeat, Freiermuth and Mostert for Fergie is definitely good.
I want to see Freiermuth, though, with Russ, baby. Maybe Freiermuth's going to get like 12 catches now. He's going to be Mr. Reception.
That could be true. That's a fair point.
Russ loves the check down. Russ loves the check down. Freiermuth is solid.
Freiermuth had a touchdown called back last week or the week before.
I didn't watch enough. He scored a touchdown against Dallas. So
yeah, I think he had a touchdown called back this past week. So Fields was across the line of scrimmage.
That sounds
That's what
about
it was.
right. Oh, yes, he did. I remember that play. I do
Yeah.
remember that play. He was way across the line of scrimmage.
I think earlier in the stream I said that for Madison, but Madison's callback touch. I'm still sick, guys. My brain's not working. Fields plays
He's
for the
sick.
Steelers. Yeah. This trade's okay, but I still think Wilson's going to be good. So just understand that part. Frank, for this week, happy PR. Start the Jets D or pick up Bengals or Lions. I do like the Jets. I think the Jets Steelers game is going to have some good defense in there, but the Jets are also kind of fraudulent at the same time. But they're still a top 12 defense. Like they probably have an okay floor. You know, Russell's first presumed start back. What are we going to get? I'm not starting the Lions defense. You know,
this is crazy. I know it's Sam Darnold, guys, but the Vikings coming off a bye, like the Lions defense isn't good.
the Lions defense is not going to do what they did last week. Now, they play Will Levis in week 8. That might be a different story.
Will Levis.
But yeah, the Bengals are like okay. They didn't make my must start video, and I know a lot of people are looking at them this week because they play the Browns, but they're still the defense 28 in fantasy scoring. Like, I just have a tough time with that. And then we look at last week, right? And you know, I put the Eagles in the video, and the first thing I said in the video last week, I'm gonna say this team, and I do not trust them at all, and they're very risky. And then the Eagles come out and have 5 points against Cleveland. You know, they had no turnovers. They just had 5 sacks. You know, they did nothing. They're the defense 29. So if the Bengals are the defense 28 and they have the same matchup, maybe
Watch
they
Nick
get something
Chubb
done.
just go crazy. Nick Chubb off the knee, runs for a
Right.
$180.
It's like I understand it, but yeah, I would just play the Jets here. More like money. Try to do that right.
Money. Johnny
He
Munn.
doesn't need a new name.
Just Mr. Third Down over here. Big time
Yeah.
third downs late in games.
Thoughts on Kamani Vidal, stash one Algier or Vidal?
Probably Algier.
Well, I'll say this: like the Chargers, maybe you get a better opportunity for standalone value because they're going to run first and foremost. But also with Vidal, you take away the receiving touchdown. There's just nothing there. The only reason Algier had the week he had was because the Panthers couldn't defend me and Pete if we got full pads and went out there. You know, they're just awful against the run. So I think the more valuable handcuff is probably still Algier.
We also know Algier. Like we've seen Algier rush for 1,000 yards as a standalone. Like if Bijan gets banged up, or he could just have good games. Like he can run the football. Vidal's kind of a big mystery.
Yeah, and I think the mystery is intriguing. Don't get me wrong, and I like Vidal. He has pass catching upside, but yeah, I mean, you could flip a coin here, but I think I just hold Tyler Algier. You know, but we'll see. Frank, I have Hall, JT, and Mason, 3 and 3. Was this in reference to another? Let me try and scroll up real quick. Wait, the last thing I see from you is Otten or commit. Let me know. I can only scroll up so far, so let me know. Jacob Danner, would you trade Bigsby for Ladd, Ridley, or Hopkins? Or no one? No, I just hold Bigsby.
I'm holding tank.
You're a little light at running back, too. I mean, you got Henry, but Jones is hurt. Mostert, Spears, Hill. No, I hold Bigsby. Brown, McLaurin, Mooney. Yeah. You're 4 and 2. I just hold. MDHHD. What's up? I think the Adams trade affects Wilson, not in a bad way. MDHDHDHDHD. My team is Daniels, Barkley, Pacheco, Ramondre, Javonte, Tracy, DJ Moore, Devonta, J-Mo, Tolbert, Dunze, Pitts. Trade J-Mo and Mondre for Waddle? No. No way.
JMO, good offense, like great offense. The Dolphins, not. Even with Tua, not a good offense, I don't think anymore.
J-Mo's been infinitely better too. Can I survive without an RB2 until Pacheco comes back? With Ramondre, Javonte, and Tracy, yes, you can definitely survive for sure. Yeah, I've seen. I'm in a league where I had to start Roshan Johnson and Braylon Allen and flex Antonio Gibson this past week. Now, granted, that is my worst team, and I've had a lot of injuries, and I invested in the Dolphins offense a lot, and that is my only winless team out of 17 leagues. And I have a winning record in every league except for 3 right now. But there's much. It could be a lot worse. You have good enough RB2s to get through, especially if Ramondre plays this week. D-Wave, what's up? Could have been 3-3, but sitting at 2-4 due to starting the wrong quarterback. Got Purdy and Dak. Yeah, I think Dak hurt so many people this past week because so many people expecting. Yeah, it should have been more of a shootout. It just was not, to say the least. So, and Purdy had a huge week, and that's the thing. Like a short week, Thursday night football, like tough. If I had to pick one to ride out the season, I mean, I'd probably pick Purdy, but we also want to be careful about recency biasy. Dak's going to get the Niners, the Falcons, the Eagles, the Texans, the Commanders, the Giants, the Bengals, the Panthers, the Bucks, the Eagles. The end of season schedule's good. And I guarantee you, as bad as it looked this past week, they're going to be right in that area. Like they got to win this game and that game. They make the playoffs.
I don't know. Jerry's saying insane things now, like threatening radio hosts. This thing could also implode.
That's true. And honestly, that division is very close.
It's not a good division. It's not a good division besides I think Washington is clearly the best team in that division. The Eagles are terrible. The Giants.
The Giants at least have a good defense. And the Eagles are the Eagles, but
they're talented.
It won't surprise me if they do some things.
They're talented.
Now, Purdy gets Kansas City, Dallas, a bye week, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Green Bay, Buff, Chicago, the Rams, Miami, Detroit. I mean, I probably pick Purdy, but I think holding Purdy and Dak is okay. That playoff schedule for Dak's really nice. So, I mean, I just want to be careful with recency bias, but we shall see. Can we drop Coleman? Sure. I mean, it depends on the Coleman's value is definitely going down. So, let's see. I don't even know if Pacheco is coming back for the fantasy football season, especially with how well they're doing. I mean, that could be true, but well, it'll depend, like on their record and where they stand in that division when he's safe to come back. But yeah, Hunt has looked great.
Solid. Yeah. Solid. Old.
But we got 2 games with Hunt, we'll see. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, has been like he can practice now and may make his return. I don't know if that's really going to impact a ton. So we'll see. But this is a fair point. All right, going to try and get caught up here, guys, and we'll have to bounce soon. Need 3 full PPR. Jacobs, Connor, DK, Wilson, Hunt, or Bigsby. I'm still rolling in PPR with DK and Garrett Wilson. I'm gonna go Kareem Hunt, I think. I think he has the highest ceiling of these 3 running backs. Now, the problem with Bigsby is like ETN might play this week, he might not. And then they're giving touches to Dearness Johnson. Like, once again, want to be careful with recency bias here. It is a good matchup this week. He got game scripted out last week, but you got to admit that last week was a little bit concerning. So I think I go Wilson, DK, Hunt. And that's who you're leaning with. Yeah, trust your gut. Did I get fleeced? Traded away Jones, Waddle, Mooney for Wilson and Connor? No. Connor, Jones is close enough. Wilson over Waddle and Mooney is fine.
More upside. I think there's more upside.
Right, and probably more consistency. So 18 PPR 2 flex league got JT Mason, A-Chain Dowdle, Chubb, CD, JJ Collins, Dell. Pick it up Downs or tank Bigsby. Yeah, you're fine here.
Those wide receivers are crazy now. Those are crazy good wide receivers.
Yeah, adding Wilson and Connor, you're fine here. My running backs are Jacobs, Brown, Swift, Rashad. Do I drop White? Nobody wants him. I'm going to say it again. Hold on to Rashad White. Do you start him? No. But, I mean, you're also like, you're not super deep. Like, if you got 5 running backs, then sure. But this is we're kind of playing with fire when it comes to this backfield, you know? Like, Bucky Irving's one thing, but, like, we got to see how the rest of this plays out. So it depends. Like, are you 2-4 and, you know, you need to pick up wide receivers and Josh Downs and Pop Douglas are out there? Like, that's one thing. But if you're okay, then I'll just hold them. Played Fields the last 2 weeks. Should I drop and roll Darnold?
You can.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it depends who you're dropping him for, who's out there. Fields could see opportunities again. He's been a top 6 fantasy quarterback. Yeah, I mean, you got Darnold, just his bye week's gone. Roll with the punches. Can we vote on emotes? Sure. Sun is very unpredictable.
Very.
Jets defense with maybe Russ coming back. Yeah, I think they're fine to play this week. Speaking of CD and Ayuk, what do you think of Ayuk plus Myers plus Bijan for CD plus DK? Got Pollard and Hunt. Are you getting CD and DK or the Bijan side? I mean, I'm not trading Bijan. Maybe Bijan doesn't feel like a top 6 pick. But he's the RB9. He's at double digits every game. I know he just played the Panthers, but he had 25.5 fantasy points. I just like Pollard and Hunt is fine, and you'd be stacked at wide receiver, but this is one of those. It depends on the rest of the roster for sure. It's a tough one. Start Purdy, Kirk, or Darnold. Didn't we go over this already?
Probably. Yeah, we did. No, it was Dak. It was Dak instead of Kirk.
Oh, that's what it was.
But you're starting Purdy or Darnold. Purdy or Darnold.
So Seahawks are 19th for Kirk. Jets are 3rd. Sorry, wrong. I'm in the wrong field. Chiefs are 16th. And for Sammy D, the Lions are 11th. So we don't have a ton of disparity there. I'd probably go for the game script and go Darnold or Purdy. But not exactly the best matchups there. Yes, we'll get a Ray Davis emoji in here. Why not?
He's got to score a touchdown first. Ray Davis got to score a touchdown.
That's true. Y'all hit the like alert. You'll have to trade your best player for a conditional second round or third. I like that. Hit the like button. Oh, we didn't put a poll up tonight, so make sure you guys hit
the like button. Hit it.
Hit the like, or else. Sport Dog, I picked up Slayton last week with Mooney. Would you drop either of them and pick up Downs, or just keep Mooney and Slayton? I'd rather have Downs than Slayton. I mean, Downs is getting wide receiver 1 volume. Mooney is the more valuable wide receiver. Slayton can still have a role in this offense, but once Neighbors comes back, I mean, we got to remember Neighbors' volume and target share was ridiculous. So I'd rather have Mooney and Downs. Dark, Hurts, Hall, Taylor, if he's not out, Mooney, Robinson, McBride, Chuba, Eagles, Bates, bench is Cousins, Hill, Jacobs, Brian Thomas Jr., Sermon. Any changes? I mean, you could still play Hill. If Taylor's out, I think you just pivot to Jacobs. I don't know that I'm benching Brian Thomas Jr. I know he's coming off a bad game, but I think he probably offers a safer floor than Mooney. I think I go Brian Thomas Jr. If you want to go Rondell Robinson, then that's fine. That's who I'm assuming that is. And you can play Hill, but yeah, these are very, very close calls. But I think I start Brian Thomas Jr. Everything else is fine. Should I drop Spears for Benson? I mean, you can, but you're looking at 2 handcuffs. Spears is banged up, so if you want to, sure. But yeah, I don't think Benson's taking over this backfield anytime soon. Amari DeMarcado got touches last week too. James, pick 3: Cooper, Kirk, Pittman, Dell, or Robinson. Let's just fire up Cooper. Why not? I'll start Dell. I like the matchup. I like the game script. And call me crazy, but I like Rondell Robinson. I just do. He's been super solid. But if you like Kirk here or Pittman, sure. Jackson Smith and Jigba or Downs. I'll go Downs, but I think JSN is fine. Is Hawk worth trading if you did RB2 and you have Bowers?
Yeah.
Bowers. You're only going to bench Bowers here
on the bye week. Unless there's
if it's the bye week, or maybe like the Vikings play the Jaguars, it's like a team that bad, but so you'd be getting CD and DK. I mean, I just have a tough time trading Bijan. Excuse me. If I made the trade, I'd have Chase, CD, Smith, and DK. It's a 3 wide receiver league. Hunt and Pollard, who've already had their buys. Like, I'm okay with it. I just hate losing Bijan. Like, Hunt and Pollard are fine, and wide receivers are going to have more value here. But I always say, do you trade a player like Bijan, and he continues to improve, and he's still a top 10 running back in fantasy, and he starts to have a ceiling of 19, 18, 20 points a week, he's got to understand that you traded that player low. And right now, he's coming off his best game of the season, so you're not even trading him low. I mean, it drastically helps your wide receiver room, but I don't like trading a player like Bijan unless I'm blown away. Now, CD, DK is not bad. The rest of the trade doesn't matter to me. Chase, CD, Smith, DK might be enough to win you every week. And Pollard and Hunt is probably enough. Then what does Hunt look like when Pacheco comes back? And the Titans could implode at any moment. So
true.
There's some risk here, but I'm okay. But this isn't one for me to answer. This is one where you truly have to make the decision. Go center. Have a good night, bro. Is Brian Thomas Jr., Pittman, and Hunt for B-Rob and Dell a fair trade? No. Don't do that trade. I mean, I like B-Rob a lot. I think Dell is good. I think Dell will continue to be good while Nico's out. But no. Brian Thomas Jr. is coming off one bad game. He's been great. Pittman, worthy of a flex. Yeah. Hunt has been good. Yeah, I would not do this trade. What do you think I should do? Ask CU about Wilson. My current core is Reed, Downs, Thomas Jr., Judy, and Wilson. Just hold Garrett Wilson. He's going to be fine. There's no reason to panic about Garrett Wilson. No reason whatsoever. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, when everyone's healthy, Waddle, when everyone's healthy, Shaheed, like when he doesn't suck, Ayuk, like wide receiver twos are a thing and can be productive, you know. You got a good wide receiver core here. You're starting Jaden Reed, Brian Thomas, and Garrett Wilson every week. You can flex Josh Downs, you know. Judy,
yeah.
In theory, Judy might be better, but he'll probably just still suck. So, yeah. Should I pick up Pacheco after CMC gets off IR? I mean, if Pacheco's out there right now and you have a winning record, you should pick up Pacheco right now so someone else doesn't. I mean, he's probably going to play week 12, 13, 14, like maybe even earlier, I've heard. So, you know. All right, guys, final call. If you have anything you want to get in last second here, we're only going to be streaming for about 4 more minutes. Yeah. Wilson will be fine. Run CMC. Would you drop Kincaid for Ingram or Kraft?
Probably not.
I don't know that I'm going to drop Kincaid, and I do like Kraft, but I will say, guys, if Evan Ingram is out there, he needs to be rostered. I mean, Chicago's been very good against the tight end position, and he had 10 targets, 10 receptions, 102 receiving yards. And Trevor Lawrence loves some Evan Ingram in his life. So I like Kraft, but I still think Kraft is very volatile, and I talked about that the past 2 weeks. Like, you take away these touchdowns, Kraft does not really have much of it in a game. I don't know that I'm going to drop Kincaid flat out, but he's still a top 12 tight end.
I think Kincaid opens up. I think it opens up with Amari Cooper for Kincaid now, too.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Knox poached his touchdown last night, okay?
True. Knox was like, give me that.
They were both in on that play, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are all good options, and they're all going to have some volatility. Like, we don't really have we got Kittle and Bowers and maybe McBride when he's healthy. Like, other than that, it's just volatility here. Kelsey might start to be solid with all the injuries. He has been the last 2 starts. Looking for a few buy low RB2 and Dynasty. Team is doing better than I expected. I have a ton of wide receivers to throw in trades like Pittman and Watson. Are you talking to me? Because I got no running backs, and we're in a couple.
Just throwing it out there, some feelers out there.
Yeah. Are you asking for opinions or options? I haven't gone through my buy lows for the week, but just look through, find players who underperformed, and throw out some offers. You know what to do.
You know what you're doing, J-Dubs.
Literally in the main Dynasty League, I don't know if there's a main league, but the Superflex League that we're in together, J-Dubs, I have Henry, Justice Hill, and Rashad White. My team's very good, but that's my gaping hole. I have to start 2 wide receivers because my RBs are stacked. Mixon, JT Hall. Should I start at wide receiver? I would start Wilson and I'd probably start. I mean, these are close calls. Reed, Downs, Thomas, Wilson. Based on production on the season, it's Reed and B. Tom, but these guys can all outscore each other. With the team I listed earlier, what do you think I'd have to give up for CD if I didn't use Bijan? Yeah, you're going to have to use Bijan as the thing. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. The rest of these players aren't going to help you get a guy like CD, so that's the thing. You're going to trade for a top player, you got to bite the bullet somewhere. Yeah. Start Stafford, Wilson, or May. I would start Drake May straight up, 100% out of these options against the Jaguars. I mean, I think at worst you're going to walk away with like 15 or 16 fantasy points. I know Stafford's playing the Raiders, but they actually they're very bad against the run, but they have not been as bad as you would like. I think they're top 10 against wide receivers. They're bad against quarterbacks, but like what Stafford in his last start, who'd they play last? Hold on, I got it right here. Green Bay. Like it was a good matchup on paper, 13 fantasy points, you know. Wilson gets the Jets in his first start. It could be okay, but yeah, I'll take if I'm in this situation, I'm taking the upside. I'll take the risk. You are welcome, Danny Dorito. Is Bucky Irving a drop? No. No, but that running back room is spicy to say the least. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Over 2 hours. Thank you guys so much for the fantasy questions. Thank you for letting us help you guys out. We have tons of content on the channel that will be coming out each and every day, as you guys know. Wide receivers, running backs for every single matchup, every single player are out. Must-start defenses are out. Waiver wire ads for the early part of the week are out. Pete's kicker rankings will drop tomorrow. Quarterbacks and tight ends, every single matchup, start sets will drop tomorrow. There's a couple asterisks throughout the videos already on the week as we've had trades and everything. And I've been sick to start the week, so not my best calls potentially, but go check out the videos if you guys need anything, and we'll have more content dropping throughout the entire week. Tons of content towards the back end of the week. Players that are going to, that you cannot bench, that will go nuclear, buy low targets, sneaky starts, last minute waiver wire ads, and then 10 things you need to know video Sunday morning. So make sure you guys are checking out all the content as comes out throughout the week, and we'll continue to stream as often as we can. So check out the videos, go drop us a comment, hit the like on everything, hit the like on the stream. Thank you guys for the fantasy questions. And Pete, I'll let you say bye. We'll get out of
here. Yeah, watch the videos, hit the thumbs up, check out my power rankings, dropped this morning. Everybody's bad in this league except for like 2 teams. But whatever, awesome stream, guys. We'll be back again. Yeah, ready for that kicker video tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting.
No, we got big kicker news this week already. So, all right, guys, that'll do it for tonight. You know what to do. So, with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch. And